You're listening to the View+Finders podcast from Framerate. I'm Bon Wars. I'm here with Sam McQueen. We're talking about content consumption patterns and models and how that's changing from mainstream into these niche markets. Sam, what's the trend right now in content? What are people watching now in these underserved markets?
Goes without saying that in the mainstream markets, we've obviously seen a shift from people going into shorter, call it bite-sized content. You can see that with the popularity in YouTube and other short-form areas. But now what we're seeing is that trend of shorter bite-sized content is spreading into all markets, including the underserved. So that's definitely something that we're noticing shift.
I know that there's been a trend also towards hotel TVs in the hotel market, allowing downloading of apps and individual logins in those environments. That's creating opportunities for people who might normally go to a hotel, watch a movie on the TV, pay, whatever they pay for that movie. And a lot of times, of course, those are newer release movies in the early transactional window. And they're watching YouTube videos. It's a trend I think that's been evolving over time and will eventually penetrate everywhere.
Yeah, it's seen as being slow to pick up in the underserved markets. The trend is definitely growing, but I think one of the reasons that it is slow to pick up is because of the content offering. Again, if those markets aren't offered that type or model of content to consume, they won't consume it simply because they don't have it. And at Framerate, what we really focus on when we're talking to platforms in these underserved markets is to give the audiences what it is that they want. Test these different consumption models to gauge the interest on whether or not it actually picks up. You won't know until you try it. And also our philosophy is, look, if your audience is watching, then you are winning. It doesn't matter if they're watching a movie or it doesn't matter if they're watching YouTube. If they're consuming the content, that's beneficial and that's a win for everyone involved.
Yeah, there's no doubt. In fact, I know that people who are younger, who didn't grow up on the traditional television method of must-see TV on Thursday night, you have to watch ER at 8 o'clock or you'll miss it. They now not only have on-demand options, but are opting for incredibly short-form content, such as Instagram Reels, watching 10-second videos even. The length of videos that are being watched in huge consumption in millions and millions of hours often are made up of very small clips. There's a lot of shows out there too that have become as popular, more popular than traditional television, like Mr. Beast had a huge explosion. And he can make any program length he wants. He can make a show that's 5 minutes, 20 minutes, an hour. It doesn't matter. There's no longer this restriction on how long something has to be so that you can fit ads in or to fit a certain specific schedule on television.
Yeah, another facet to that is even though the individual pieces of content are shorter, the total content consumption and viewing time has skyrocketed. If you look no further than the average teenager's screen time app on their iPhone to see that while they may be watching 10, 15-second clips, you're consuming hours and hours and hours of content. And we've seen that that is the case across all of these or many of these underserved markets. Corrections is a good example, where it's not always about the length of each clip or what it is, it's just about the total time being consumed. We expect this trend to grow, and we encourage every single platform that we work with to test out this consumption model because it clearly has legs and will continue to be popular.
Yeah, it's actually one of the apps and one of the priorities of Framerate Technologies the last year is building what we call Video Snacks, which is a app where you can scroll through and get these short form videos, a lot like Instagram or Facebook Reels, but specifically geared towards the corrections market and other markets that have restricted content issues. So it's exactly content that is allowed to be seen, and it's short form and it's shareable and it's funny and it's the kind of stuff that is being consumed in huge quantities by younger audiences. That's basically the insights we've had on this topic, is that yes, it's growing and it's definitely moving towards any length of content, and shorter content and even shorter attention span content is really winning right now. You've been listening to the View+Finders podcast from Framerate. Thank you.